Here we stand at the entrance of the Airborne and Special Operations Museum, and inside you will find the stories of some of the greatest war fighters in our nation's history. Before you, Field of Honor, nearly 1,000 flags, each one honoring someone who is currently serving, someone who has served, or someone who has made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our freedoms. Beyond the Field of Honor is the North Carolina Veterans Park, dedicated to military veterans, young and old, living or deceased, from all branches of the armed forces. And across the street is Freedom Memorial Park, a place where we can go to reflect and honor those from our area who have paid the ultimate sacrifice from World War I, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. To get things started today on a good foot, please join me in welcoming the Mayor of Fayetteville, Mr. Nat Roberts.
Thank you, Jim. It's an honor to be here. It's an honor to be your mayor. I appreciate this. Appreciate the opportunity. Before I start with the remarks and read the proclamation that appears on the back of your program, I would like to recognize Colonel Goolsby with the VA Hospital. The VA, along with the city of Fayetteville, are doing some pretty remarkable things when it comes to trying to solve the homeless problem with the veterans. And I just would like to publicly thank you for your work in that. If we could get perhaps Craig and John to come up, I'd like to present the proclamation to you. Yeah, all the way forward. And so I'm not having to read everything to you since it's already on the back of your program. I do just want to read a couple of the highlights. And of course, this is on behalf of the Fayetteville City Council, the 10 members of the City Council, signed by myself. It reads, the highlights read, whereas the citizens of Fayetteville owe a debt of lasting gratitude to the men and women who have worn the uniform while serving and defending our great nation. Whereas the Rolling Thunder, flame of freedom, is a symbol of hope to those who wait for the missing to return, and the symbol of healing for those who have lost loved ones while in the defense of our nation. And whereas the flame spreads an important message of the price of freedom by serving to remind all of those in its presence that freedom is not free. And whereas in an all-American city of Fayetteville, we acknowledge the price of freedom, and we know that it is a responsibility, it is our responsibility to preserve and to protect it. Now, therefore, I, Nat Robertson, Mayor of the City of Fayetteville, North Carolina, and on behalf of the Fayetteville City Council, do hereby honorably proclaim the 17th day of May, 2015 to be the Flame of Freedom Day. In Fayetteville, North Carolina, our city of heroes, our city of history, heroes, and a hometown feeling, and encourage all residents to express the congratulations of this milestone. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hey, sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to sneak one in there on you. Thank you. Come up. So now that you've heard that, let me take a moment and give you a little extra background information on the Flame of Freedom. The Flame of Freedom came into existence in 2007 in support of Rolling Thunder's mission to educate the public on the POW MIA issue. The Flame is housed with Rolling Thunder Chapter 1, Mississippi, and is used for various activities throughout the year. Since its inception, it has traveled to many places, to include the annual journey to Washington, D.C. each May for Rolling Thunder's Ride for Freedom demonstration, spreading an important message along the way of the price of freedom. Right now, they are in the middle of that journey, and it will culminate with a candlelight vigil held at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial this coming Friday evening. It was born as a symbol of hope for those who have not returned home, our nation's POW, MIAs, and for those who await their return. It represents a light always shining on the pathway to freedom. It is also a symbol of healing for those who have lost and those who still mourn privately. Each time the flame is used, our wish that it serves as a reminder to all in its presence that freedom is not free. I'd like to now introduce to you our guest speaker. a man who knows through firsthand experience that price of freedom. Raymond Trump joined the U.S. Army in May 1949 to age 17. As an enlisted man, he served and fought in Korea during the Korean War, where he was severely injured. Several years later, Ray attended OCS. He joined the dark side and received a commission as a second lieutenant in 1958. In 1962, he was promoted to captain, and he found himself right here at Fort Bragg with the U.S. Army Special Forces. In 1965, after attending the Officers Advanced course, he was promoted to major, and at about the same time, he completed the Cambodian language course. And guess where that led? To assignment with the Military Assistance Command Vietnam as a senior district advisor. He arrived in Vietnam in January 1968. On 23 May 1968, he was taken prisoner by the Viet Cong. After spending 1,727 days in captivity, much of it in isolation, he was released during Operation Homecoming on 12 February 1973. And for those of you doing the math, that's just shy of 5 years. A few of his awards and decorations include 2 Silver Stars, the Legion of Merit, Purple Heart, and the Prisoner of War Medal. Ray retired from the Army on 31 December 1973 as a Lieutenant Colonel after 24 years of dedicated service. That's the short version of his official bio, but I'll be honest with you, that's not really the reason I asked him to be with us today. What I've told you thus far are qualifiers. Ray's a subject matter expert on everything that today is about. I asked Ray to be here for personal reasons. There are way too many to list, but I'm going to share a couple with you right now. First off, after returning from Vietnam and retiring from the Army, he never forgot those who did not return. In fact, in 1976, he spoke at the 31st Republican National Convention in Kansas City, Missouri on behalf of our nation's POW MIAs. I want to share a little something that he told the convention that day concerning the POW MIA issue and the need to demand a full accounting of those still missing. And these are words that still ring true today. My efforts on behalf of our prisoners of war and missing in action have given me pause to wonder, where are the patriotic leaders in our country who will take a stand on behalf of the men they have asked to serve? Today, this great nation of ours, there are many wives, children, and parents who have only love to keep alive the hope for a loved one listed as missing in prisoner of war or missing in action. Only God knows how many men are trying to stay alive on memories such as love. Resolve today, now, that you will rededicate yourself to the cause of the National League of Families and end the anguish of these brave men and their families. Secondly, for an individual who had so much taken away from him, he never, ever hesitates to give. It isn't uncommon to find him behind us here volunteering his time at the Veterans Park. And one of the beautiful things about Ray is he is a teacher. I don't think he really knows it, but he is. And I know he has shared the story of his captivity many, many times. And I can only imagine how difficult that is sometimes. But the message that it gets across to those who need to hear it is priceless. Finally, he is a true American patriot. He loves his country, and he's dedicated his life to her. He loves our veterans. He loves those who serve today, and he loves his fellow patriots. Again, in words from his presentation in Kansas City, having spent 5 years of my life denied the freedoms I once took for granted, I came to realize just how precious those freedoms really are. And today, I cherish them beyond words. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming my friend and a true American hero, Lieutenant Colonel Raymond Trump.
Thank you, Jim. Mayor Robertson, Mr. Goldie, I can't tell you how much I appreciate RVA. They certainly have helped me get back in my society. As I stand here today before you and our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, I pray that He will bless the men, the women, and the families of whom I'm about to speak. A quote from the Bible, John 15:13. Greater love have no man than this, that a man lay down his life for a friend. To date, there are thousands of Americans who are still listed as missing in action and unaccounted for from all the wars. These are men and women who answered the call of duty by leaving their families and the love they once shared, knowing that there was a possibility they would never return home alive. No warrior wants to die, but many have willingly given their lives to protect and preserve our way of life and individual freedoms. Families are the basic unit of our society that give meaning to and strengthen our values. They are the heart and soul of America. I'd like to deviate from my written script here to tell a story about my family who saved my life. Family love transcends time and distance. No matter where you are, you can depend on that support group. I was about 2 years into captivity, and I hit a low point. I had been in isolation for that period of time. I could no longer walk without some kind of assistance. I was coughing up blood. My immune system had disappeared, and thought I was dying. And a guard came, and he had a little card about the size of a postcard. On that card, it said, "Ray, I know you'd be glad to hear that your boys are playing football and baseball and enjoying their life. And your daughter is attending ballet school." But there was 3 capitalized words at the bottom of that card. And it said, "I love you." For the want of that love that turned me around, and I'm here today to share it with that family. The lady who sent it has a bracelet, and it says on it, for the want of your love I could endure," and with the dates of capture and release. Families are left with memories of love they once shared, along with hope and a strong need for some degree of closure. Because of this, many families got together many years ago and began a movement that would bring pressure to bear on our government by demanding it establish a program to account for the missing. This movement became known as the National League of Families. Many veteran support groups joined together with the National League of Families, and in doing so, increased the pressure on our government. After many years, this insurmountable pressure pushed the powers that be into finally establishing a joint service recovery section. Their successes have been incredible, especially in Korea and Vietnam. There are many trials and tribulations that these teams have to go through to get into a country, to a crash site, an ambush site, or a major battle site. And they do it with dignity and return the remains with honor that they so deserve. One of our veteran support groups is a national organization known as Rolling Thunder. And to me, they're like family. They made me an honorary member some time ago, and I've been with them ever since. I'd like to name or mention some of the things they do. And of course, along with the other veteran support groups, and they're not a motorcycle club, none of them. They are a veteran support group. And they bring honor and dignity to the veteran. Many of them are veterans. Those sitting here today I know personally. They have witnessed the horrors of war. They are the ones that zipped the body bags, that carried their dead comrades to a helicopter for evacuation. And now they are in total support of our veterans. They offer the families escort service when a veteran and the family dies. All you have to do is call them and they'll be there. And they escort the bodies from the funeral home to the cemetery and make sure that they are buried with the dignity and honor they so deserve. Recently, remains from a young soldier by the name of Sergeant Byron Price remains was returned. When they returned his remains at the Raleigh-Durham International Airport were hundreds of motorcycles, including the Rolling Thunder, with flags flying from their motorcycles. They escorted the remains of Sergeant Price to his home in Gastonia, where they again, the next day, escorted his remains to the cemetery. This has real meaning to me because the helicopter that was shot down, that he was a passenger on, was piloted by a warrant officer who came into my camp as a prisoner, along with a captain and his crew chief. He has contacted the family and told the story of how Sergeant Price was killed. And he called me and asked me if I would pass on his personal thanks to Rolling Thunder for the honor that they had bestowed on Sergeant Price. It is an awesome sight to see these motorcycles coming down the road with the American flag and the POW flag flying from their cycle. It is an awesome sight indeed. This organization truly understands the true cost of freedom. And that cost can only be measured in human life and personal sacrifice. They have been a major thrust in holding our government to a full accounting of our warriors listed as missing in action from all wars. Like you, I am here to pay tribute to my fallen comrades. Some of these men died in my presence. My best friend, Korea, died in my arms. I can assure you that not one ever lost faith in his God, his country, or his soul. Today, Rolling Thunder, North Carolina, Chapter number 1, brings to us the flame of freedom. This flame has one purpose. That is to be the symbol of hope, lighting the way home for America's silent heroes, our POWs and MIAs. As we pass the flame amongst one another, it allows us to pay personal tribute, gives us an opportunity to honor and remember a friend, our loved one who has served, is currently serving, or has made the ultimate sacrifice in the defense of our freedom. I thank God every day He has blessed me the opportunity to have known many of these men. Poor is the nation that has no heroes. Shameful is the one that having them forgets. Excuse me. God bless each and every one of you. The present day warrior, that God bless this land, the place we call America. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray. That was a outstanding speech, and I'm going to take a minute here and deviate from the program. I got some information that was presented to me just a few minutes ago, thanks to an article that was put in yesterday's paper. So, ma'am, Ms. Deborah Wren, would you please come forward for a moment?